No. Today,
You have to put it the other way around.
good morning. Today we'll be starting a new piece. First of all, it's a simple piece which I'll be explaining about. It's quite simple. The reason I chose to start this piece was because first, for the other pieces were a bit hard. If you consider like starting off with that, they're a bit harder. Usually, you don't want to start off with such hard pieces. Like for release, it's quite good. I've uploaded the recording. Hopefully, you've all seen that. And hopefully, you're doing well with the piece. But today, I'll be starting off with a simpler piece. It's called A3. It's actually from grade one, ABRS in the grade one, and it's called A3 Parsons Farewell. And it's a very nice. It's like a simple piece, but the left hand involves like consecutive notes, a few consecutive notes, and it really helps you sort of strengthen your hand-to-hand coordination, which is why I selected this piece. But before we start the piece, I will start off with a bit of theory. I've also sent like a sample score in the WhatsApp group that you can refer to while, if you are able to refer to that right now, you can refer to that while viewing this lesson. I'll be sort of explaining some elements of the musical score right now as well. A bit of theory, and then we'll start off with this piece. So first of all, let me just go to the board right here. And I'll start off with a bit of theory. So we learned a bit of theory in the previous classes as well. So by right here, theory. And for now what I'll start off with is key signatures. I think I've talked about key signatures in the last class. And key signatures, for example, if you all remember this, I'm not sure how many of you do, but if you do remember this, we know that there are many different keys. And we have scales as well. So we have like C major, which we practice. C major, a bit louder maybe. Then we practice like F major and G major. We practice the key chords G major, F major, and C major. We practice the exact same thing with the left hand as well. So if you've practiced this, then you'll know that there are many different scales on the piano. So you have like major scales, you have minor scales as well, if you remember. If you have C major, you have its minor as well, C minor. And you can have like, when you go into detail, you have many different types of minors. You have harmonic, melodic minors. So you have like different types of minors here. So that I won't go into detail. But what I'll be talking about today is key signatures, how they are represented on a score. So a score is like a musical sheet, which I sent on the WhatsApp group. So let me just show you on the board how a sample score looks like. The one that I've sent you can also refer to, but I'm showing you here as well so that it's easier to explain while showing. So we have the lines, like 5 lines. And then you have your clef, which is your treble clef or bass clef. The treble clef looks like this, if you remember, and the bass clef looks like this. So the treble clef refers to the right hand part, usually, and the bass clef refers to the left hand part, if you remember. And the position of the notes, you can also check my recordings. Here you have middle C on a treble clef. If I were to draw the clef here, like this, somewhat, yeah, like this. And so here you have middle C. And what is this line here? It's called a ledger line, if you remember, because we want to represent notes that are not in these 5 lines. So we draw like additional lines, and that's why they're called ledger lines. And they're called ledger lines. So middle C is this on the treble clef, if you remember. It's like one ledger line below the bottommost line. This is middle C. And we can just go counting C, and then this one is D. This is E on the line in between F, here G, here A, here B, here C again. So you can go on counting like that. So that's how you figure out which note is which I've talked about. Now, if I come to key signatures, so key signatures, let's say a piece is in C major, right? So for example, if you play like Happy Birthday, in the other slot I've done Happy Birthday, but I've transposed it to a higher key. But Happy Birthday can be played in C major then. So if you see this, this is actually a C major piece. I've played in C major. And in C major, you don't have any sharps or flats. If you remember what sharps and flats are, sharps and flats usually refer to the black notes, the ones that are, yeah, in black in color, which are like five of them in between two consecutive notes, you have like five black notes, right? You have five notes, and then you have a repeat of the same thing again. Then here, repeat is five. And after that, you have the same five again. So these usually right now we refer to, we call them sharps and flats. So depending on what note you're looking at, it can either be a sharp or a flat, if you remember. For example, if I press this note, this can either be a G sharp or an A flat. So those we've covered before, but now we'll talk about C major key signature. C major doesn't have any sharps or flats. So we do not have to actually sort of mention anything extra. For example, let's say I have this treble clef here and I'm writing a piece for like a piano here. I can just like play, I can just put the notes, right? You can just have notes here, some sort of notes. I'll be explaining all these notes next as well after this. So you can have like different types of notes and you can have different melodies that you can play. But the thing is, the key is C major, which means that there are no sharps or flats. So you know that you'll be dealing with only the white keys. But now let's say you have another key, which we've covered, G major. G major has one sharp, if you remember. It's an F sharp. That is in G major. There's an F sharp, right before G. And the thing is, if we were to just write the notes like this, then wherever there's an F, right, where's an F here? An F is right here, right in between. Wherever we find an F, wherever we have to put an F into the music, we have to put like an F sharp. We have to put a sharp right next to that because the key is G major. And there's an F sharp in G major, not F. There's no F. There's an F sharp. So every time there's an F in the music, we'll have to like put a sharp next to it and specify it's an F sharp. That becomes very tedious because you have to put sharps next to every F that you can find when you're writing your music, right? So because of that, usually composers, and now it's like custom, you actually put the key signature in the beginning here. So like in the beginning, before the music starts, you have your key signature, and that what is that key signature? That key signature basically tells you what key the music is in. For example, in G major, you have F sharp. So here you will have like F. Where do you find an F here? This is an F as well. If you remember, this is an F, and this is also an F. So in G major, usually what they write right before the music starts is this. There's a sharp on this line, which means, and that line represents an F in treble clef. That means that there's an F sharp in this music. In this entire music, before the music starts, right? The music starts, this is present, which means that in this entire music, you have this F sharp. Every F is sharp, is sharpened up. And because of that, we know that there's this F sharp, we know that the key is G major because only G major has an F sharp. So if you look at this, you'll be able to identify that the key is G major. Similarly, if I were to change it up, we've studied another key. We've studied F major also. You remember the key, the notes for F major. You have F, A, F, G, A, B flat. It's a B flat, right? It's a B flat in F major. There's a B flat in F major. So if you just write your music out like this, you'll have to specify the flat sign next to every B if you want it to be within the original music. So that's tedious again. So what you do is you just find the B right here, right? Because this is C, D, E, F, G, A, B. And right next to and right on this line, the B line, you just put a flat sign. And what this means is that this B is flattened in this music. And because of that, we know that there is one key where B is always flat, that's F major and F major. B is always flat. So the key of this music is F major. So depending on the key scale, we can find out, depending on the sort of key signature, this is called the key signature, where you specify the signature, what the keys are, like what the sharps and flats are. You can find out what key the piece is in. So depending on the key signature, once again, you can always find out what key the piece is in. For example, let's say that I'm playing, let's talk about a key which we have not even discussed about previously. I've not shown the scale for that key, but let me just give you an idea. For example, if there's like two sharps, right? Like there's this key called D major. D major, if I would show you on the piano, starts on a D, goes D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. We have F sharp and C sharp. We have two sharps in D major. Two sharps in D major. So whenever if there's an F sharp and a C sharp, right? F sharp and C sharp. If this is the key signature, and this is present right before the music starts, and you look at this and you say, oh, there's an F sharp in this music, and all the C's are C sharps. So that means that the key is D major, because only in D major you have two sharps that are like this, right? F sharp and C sharp. So based on this key signature, you can identify the key that the music is in. And so what I wanted to talk about today, in the score that I've sent you, I believe the key is F major, not F major, it's not major actually, but the key is a flat right here. This is flat. In the score that I sent on WhatsApp, there's a flat, there's a B flat. And this I'll talk about, I think we talked about this already actually. We talked about the concept of relative minors. We talked about the concept of relative minors. Relative minors are these are basically minor keys. Minor keys that sound like low and dark and all of that, sort of different from major keys, which sound like bright. So relative minor keys are minor keys which have the same key signature as certain major keys. For example, C major has no sharps, no flats, right? No sharps and no flats. And if I go to A minor, I've talked about this as well. A minor is the relative minor of C major. What does that mean? It means that even the key of A minor has no sharps and no flats. So C major, starting on a C, right, C major. Now A minor, starting on an E. You see that it's all white keys, there's no sharps or flats. So C as A minor is the relative minor of C major. Both of them have the same key signature. And that means that every major key, once again, always has a relative minor. Every major key has a relative minor. And similarly here, there's one flat, B flat, if you remember this line is B. There's a B flat in this key, in this piece, which means that technically this piece is in F major. Because F major has one flat, it has B flat. So that you would be partly right if you were to call this the piece in F major actually. I mean, because the key signature tells that there's one flat and F major has one flat, so you would be partly correct. But the thing is, even though there's one flat and the exact case, the key signature is the exact same in F major, the key is not F major, rather it is D minor. Why? If you see that the name changes from major to minor, there's a name change, and you might sort of, I mean, if you understand the concept, you might associate this with the concept of relative minors, right? You might think, okay, maybe this the exact same key signature right here, just one flat, and then the name changes from F major to D minor. So probably D minor is a relative minor of F major, and you would be correct in assuming that D minor has the exact same key signature as F major. That is why this piece, which I sent you on the group, has one flat, has the exact same key signature as F major, but it's actually in D minor. And how do you exactly sort of come to that conclusion that it's in D minor and not in F major? Because by looking at the key signature, we can take either one of them because both have the exact same key signatures. How exactly you conclude that it's this and not this? Well, you can conclude that by sort of playing the piece. When you play the piece, which I have played it once yesterday, I played the piece, and when you listen to like the rhythm and the feel of the piece, and listen to how the melody progresses, not dark, it's like deep. It's not as bright. It's not like a major key where everything's bright. It's like more of like a subtle, deep sort of melody, and that's why it's a minor key and not in a major key, which I've concluded. The piece which I've sent you in the WhatsApp group is in D minor, and this is the concept of relative minors. And that piece which I've sent you, I'll be playing that. We'll be learning that as well. We'll be starting it off today, and we'll continue on to the next class, and then we'll do that. So it's a nice piece because I've sent you the sample score as well. Looking at that section of the score, there are many sorts of nuances, and there are many sort of ornamentations and all of that. There, like you have like ties, you have like some like you have these sort of structures which we call like, just for information, I'll be discussing these as well. It's called a fermata. You have like crescendo, which I've talked about, like increasing volume. You have like RIT, which is written, and all of this I'll be talking about as well. This just means to slow down your pace. Right? When you're playing, when you read this, you just have to slow down, sort of come to a slow stop. So the piece that we'll be playing is the first sort of preview I've sent on the WhatsApp group, just to be a reference to like see how an actual score looks. It's not just notes in just one order. It's like many different sort of ornamentations put together. So it looks quite nice. And the piece is called Parsons Farewell, and it's from ABR Sims grade 1, and it's actually from section 8.3. So section 8, third piece. And so let me just show you how to play that. We play it slowly, first of all, so that you sort of, so that the melody sort of stays. So since it ends on a major key, it's one thing to note, D major. It's a minor key, it's actually a minor piece, but ends on a major key, which is like a nice sort of into it. So starting with the first RHS right hand section. So we'll start with the RHS. That's like the first part, right? It's quite nice. It's like you can hear it's a minor key, it's not a major key, because you wouldn't have like such like a dark sort of overlay to it if it was a major key. So the notes and the finger pattern, let me just show you: F, D, D, E, F, G, C, 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 D, E, F, E, D, C sharp, A, A. And the rhythm is 2-on-4 if I want to be specific. So it goes like this. So it's like you don't really have like one way of playing it. It's not. You cannot just connect everything. You have to sort of leave have some like staccato here and some legato there. So it goes like hold the note, leave, leave, hold, leave, hold. So it's like that pattern, and it sort of sounds nice when you play that way. The first section of the RHS, F, D, D, E, F, G, C, C, E, F, G, C, C, D, E, F, E, E, D, C. There's a C sharp here just to make sure. C sharp, I'll write like this, C sharp, A, A. So it's sort of like this, F, D, D, E, F, G, C, C. This C is very short, so let me just underline it. On the score, you can sort of, I'll send you the score as well, like the entire music score, just in case you're wondering, like, how does it look? So C is short, C, D, E, F, E, D, C, A, A. And if you look at the rhythm, it's just 2-on-4. So just write the rhythm here as well. 2-on-4. I'll just double check this as well. I think it's the same thing in a score. It could be 2-on-2, it could be 4-on-4. Rhythm's almost the same though. So this is how you play the first right hand section. It goes, let me show you the piano right now. It goes this way. And the left hand, if I show you, it's sort of like the same thing, but it's like different nuanced variations. So it's like, so you can see that it has like, it's not really chords or anything. It's just like notes, but you have like some sort of arrangements, and the arrangements of the notes is what really creates the left hand sort of supporting character that it has, and the right hand plays the melody obviously, and support is given by the left hand. So this repeats twice, but what you'll have to do is on the second sort of repeat, you'll have to play it sort of gently. So I'll just write P. The P here stands for piano. It's actually just called piano, and it means to play softly. Just play softly, slightly, not very much. Because if you play it really too much, it won't sound that good. So just play it a bit more softly. And the left hand section, the first part. So it goes D, F, E, D, C, E, F, G, A, A. There's one A, I think. Yes, just one A. And again, for the second repeat, it's a bit different. It's not the same. F, D, F, E, D, C, C, A sharp, G, A natural. So this sign at the top, actually A sharp, just like B flat, since it's in the key signature. B flat. Then you just have an A natural. This sign at the top means natural. Why am I saying natural? Well, I could just write A as well, but just to make sure that you don't play the sharp or the flat, I'm just writing natural as well. It's just normal A, just A, nothing else, no sharp, no flat. If you remember that, then it's fine. You can just play that way. So for the first part, you have this, and for the repeat of this, you have this. So if I were to play it one time, once again. That's how it goes. And that's for the first section. You can get this from the recording as well. Let me show the board now. So this is the first section. You can get this from the recording as well. So if you take a screenshot, anything works. And now we move on to the second section. Second right hand section first, and then the left hand. So the second right hand section on the piano, it goes somewhat like this. If I can just show you the piano right now, it goes somewhat like this. And then once again, slow piano repeat. It sort of ends like that. And how exactly do you play this? Right hand to section 2. First. So it goes the exact same. So it goes A, F, F, A, F, F, A, F, G, E, F, G, E, G, E, E, then it continues. E, F, G, E, F, G, F, D, D, E, F, G, A, G, F, E, D, E, C. E, D, E, just a D. Yes. So this part twice, but pianissimo, piano on the second part, just repeat basically. Yeah, so once again, if I just play the right hand, yeah, start off on an E, and how the finger pattern, you can have your pinky on E and your middle finger on F. So, no mistake. Then just continuous. Just one flow. You can sort of increase the volume as you go. Then piano on the repeat. That's how that ends. The left hand section, on the other hand, so it might be a bit hard for this. The first is just a chord, it's just like F major. So it's sort of like, so this part for the left hand might be a bit hard because the rhythm is not the same. The rhythm here is a bit different. And there it's like a steady rhythm. It's like, so you saw that in the left hand went, and here it just went. So together. Once again. Then major, D major, left hand. So the left hand, it's a bit tricky, especially the rhythm, if you're not well accustomed with the rhythm. I'll just try the left hand part here as well. And it's just 2. First is just like F, C chord. Right, and then again you have your F, C chord. And then you have F, G, A, F. The rhythm here, just make sure you get the rhythm. It's F, F, A, F, C. So it's like, that's the rhythm, right, on the left hand. C, C once again, and C, D, E, C, D, E, D, D, E, F, G, A, A, D. And then on the repeat, you just have to make sure the last D, this one, becomes a D major chord. So D major is D, F sharp, G, in case you have a doubt in that. So D, F sharp, G, D major, C, F sharp, G. So this is the left hand part for the second LHS. So again, then, so if I were to start off again, I would go F, C, the chord is there again, then the rhythm, C, and then D, E, C, D, E, D. Remember to switch after 2 times you play C, D, E. The D, don't play with your index finger or with your middle or your ring finger. Remember to play it with your pinky finger, because after the D you have to go all the way, like all the way. So that can only be done when the D is with your pinky finger, right? You cannot have it something like that or like that. It's very awkward. So remember to keep this, and then D, E, F, G, A. Now that A, D, and then it sort of ends that way. But when you finish it and you repeat once again, remember to play the last D with D major as well. So D, F sharp, G. That sort of ends in the major chord. So something like this. Major. So that's how it ends. So remember to just the main thing is the rhythm on the left hand part that you'll have to pay attention to. So this sort of strengthens your hand to hand coordination as well. This piece, so I kind of liked it. And then some tricky sections the left hand. In case if we haven't practiced your skills, it will be a bit hard. So D major. I think we've covered this. No, I don't think we've covered this yet. But simple, not that hard. Remember to play the major in the end. And then if you've practiced your scales, then you'll be getting all of this quite easily. Just the rhythm. So make sure you pay attention to the rhythm as well. The Miss 2/4, if I'm not wrong, I'll just check once again. Doesn't really matter, it's just 2 beats in a bar. So I'll be sending the entire score to you as well, and make sure you practice it frequently. And that's it for this class. We've covered a small piece, an important piece, and we've also done some theory in the beginning. So so this will be so make sure you practice practice the pieces, and hopefully you're doing the scales as well, since without the scales you won't really be able to practice them as well. So scales are like the basics, so make sure to practice them. And this is probably it for this class, and I'll meet you next week as well at the same time on Sunday. And make sure you practice and continue to play. Have a nice day.